Vaccine rollout. To date, 64% of the target have gotten their first dose. That's some 22,748 people have rolled up and gotten the first dose. 8,579 fully vaxxed as of yesterday. And so we are moving along quite nicely, I might add. There were 6 schools that were involved in the recent COVID-19 cluster, and of the 6, 5 so far have been given the all clear. And those schools are Sandy Point Primary, the Charles E. Mills Secondary, Seventh-day Adventist Primary, Washington Archibald High, and the Bastia High Schools. Persons associated with the Tyrrell Williams Primary School continue to be tested. Alright, so 5 of the 6 have been given the all clear. And what else do we have here? Of course, the robust contact tracing continues to try and flush out and stop this spread. On the regional front, Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says the COVID-19 pandemic has provided the Caribbean governments with the opportunity to implement tax cuts for airline tickets across the region. He says, now is the time for us to cut taxes even by 50%. And I do accept that you may not be able to determine the elasticity of pricing on travel demand because naturally regional and intra-regional remain relatively low during this period of COVID. But the fact that you are not collecting or you hardly collecting anything at this time, it is not revenue you are giving away. You can't give away what you are not earning, so says Gaston Brown. That would be a welcome. Since taxes make up sometimes more than half the ticket. So we will see what his talk brings. All right, okay. Speaking of travel and tourism and all of that, I listened to a conversation some time ago in regards to tourism, and thought I should spend a little time talking about tourism this morning. Tourism, travel, hospitality. What are the differences? It is common for us to confuse the terms tourism, travel, hospitality, or to define them as the same thing. While we speak of tourism as the all-encompassing umbrella for the activities that and industry that create the tourist experience, the UN WTO defines travel as the activity of moving between different locations, often for any purpose, but more so for leisure and recreation. On the other hand, hospitality can be defined as the business of helping people to feel welcome once they get to these locations, feel welcome and relax and enjoy themselves. And simply put, when we talk about hospitality industry, we're combining or a combination of the accommodation, the food, the beverages, and all of that grouped together, collectively making up the largest segment of the industry. Now, tourism is most likely the world's largest industry, creating 1 out of 11 jobs in the world before the pandemic. That's right. Roughly every 11th employee in the world is working in the tourism sector one way or another. Since 1950, tourism have grown every year consecutively, and economically it stands for about 10% of the global gross domestic product. That means that about 10% of the money flowing in the world has some connection, direct or indirect, within tourism. That is huge. And in many developing countries, this impact is even higher. The tourism sector represents 7% of the global export of goods and services. Tourism has grown faster than world trade for the last 5 years prior to the pandemic. It was already predicted that in 2030 we'll have 1.8 billion international trips, and on top of that 5 to 6 billion domestic trips within one region. That is a lot to really think about. Incredibly, many people will visit a place and spend their money in that place. There is for certain a lot of talk about in terms of the positive impacts from tourism. Obviously, there are also some negative impacts and challenges as climate and host communities drowning in tourism. But let us focus for now on positive. Tourism helps people across cultures understand each other. This nurtures peace and tolerance, hopefully, right? Because tourism exposes the traveler to new places, new cultures, and other people's issues and benefits. The jobs within tourism can promote equality and equity. It can also be a great tool for integration. When a destination is providing for tourism, it is also improving its own facilities for the good of that community. For example, transport, restaurants, local shops, services. The income provided from tourism help raising the living standards in the host community and help to fight poverty. Remember I said 1 out of 11 jobs are connected. An increasing number of destinations that have opened up and invested in tourism experience that tourism is a key driver of its socio-economic progress, with creation of jobs, enterprises, and other revenue infrastructure development influence. Inbound tourism to a country is an important source of foreign currency that can be used employment to create a possibility for further development. With funds from tourism, you can protect, you can maintain and restore sites of both historic and cultural significance. Tourism can be a reason to protect the fragile natural environments from other and more extractive industries that leave a non-reversible footprint on the natural resources. This also means tourism can save things like endangered species and their habitat. So, when people define tourism, they seem to go to the simple definition. Now, tourism is a phenomenon with no universally accepted definition because it's complex and it involves a lot of individualism of the travelers themselves and the activities that they choose to undertake. But the most widely used definition proposed by the World Trade Organization prescribes that in order to qualify as a tourist, one must travel and remain in a place outside of their usual residential environment for not more than one consecutive year for leisure, business, or other purposes. Now, in that definition, you already see a deficiency in that it is assuming that all tourism is related to something that can be accomplished within a year. But if we look at the fact that there are what we call niche tourism, and this is where people miss out on tourism. There are other definitions that do not impose this time frame, and it simply states that one must travel to a destination temporarily. And now you can take temporarily and define that how you like, because to say that tourism only describes activity that happens within a year leaves it deficient in my mind. So I like the idea of saying that it's temporary, moving to a destination temporarily. Let me give you an example. When we talk about niche tourism, we could be talking about medical tourism, educational tourism, and so on and so on. Let's take the example of Ross University students. That fits within tourism. But if you use the strict definition that the WTO wants to use or put out there, granted, it did this many years ago. If you use that strict definition, then you can't say that Ross University students will fit, because they're here for educational purposes and they stay more than a year. The other definition, which doesn't impose a time frame but says temporarily, makes more sense, because they are here temporarily. They are not here to live. On the completion of their studies, which may take them 3 years, they're out. But they're significantly impacting the economy of this country, and so would fit into the tourism definition. And you may also have, they would talk of pushing the medical tourism. As a matter of fact, there was some discussion about a new hospital to be built somewhere on this island that would be the focus, and they would concentrate on things like plastic surgery, and so you will end up with quite a few people with money, if you put it that way, people with money and looking for privacy, which is the other key thing, would be traveling to St. Kitts to perform these operations, surgery, plastic surgery and so on, cosmetic stuff. And they, in turn, would drop a lot of money in the economy as well. So, all tourism. So, people tend to think of tourism as just the people who fly in here in a jet and go to one of our hotels and visit our sites for a week or so and leave. But tourism is a little more complex than that, and involves much more than that. And I say this, and I'm saying all of this because there is a lot of talk about how we need to diversify. I mean, especially as we face this pandemic, and you know, there's now a lot of talk, has been for some time, about diversifying the economy and going into another direction and so on. But we have to be, even though we understand and accept that, we have to understand that there's the impact that we feel from tourism means that we may want to think about tourism in a broader context and push for diversification within that industry as well as outside, and look at these niche tourism, and we can benefit quite a lot if we think about that as well. Not to say going in the direction of agriculture and putting more focus on it is necessarily a bad idea. That is not my point here. It is all good, because for food, for our food security and all of that, we need to do that. But there is some serious impact from tourism that we can still capitalize on, and a lot of it we're not even contemplating, and we're not even trying out. Hopefully the powers that be are thinking along these lines, even if they haven't said so yet. But there are a lot to do within tourism, and it's not necessarily just the cruise ship or just the plane that come here and people go to the hotels and buy stuff from us. There are some other lucrative components within the industry that we can look at, and let us not ignore the fact that we are already involved in some way in the educational tourism by the fact that we have these schools that are bringing in people from overseas that are spending around 3 years here and rotating and having a serious impact. If you were to just look at the Ross University impact, you would realize that it was a blessed day when they came to this country, because there are lots of people who benefit from the fact that they're here. The local economy benefits tremendously from the fact that they're here. Whether it be that you're renting apartments to these students, renting vehicles to these students, selling them or whatever, and all the other things you do with these students. They patronize the local businesses here, the bars, whatever. It's a significant impact. So there is an impact you're getting, and that's not from a cruise ship. A cruise ship passenger comes here, and they may or may not purchase anything from your shop. It is true that the government and SCASPA will make some money, but sometimes they don't come off. Sometimes the taxi driver don't make anything, but there are a lot of them who do, and a lot of them who spend. So yes, it works. They're cleaning, there's refueling, there's water, there's all of that happens. But we have to think of tourism as a little more complex than just simply the cruise ship, and try to see if there are other areas that we can capitalize on when it comes to tourism. And so it is not as simple as, say, how the dictionary may define tourism. As one definition says, the business of providing services such as transport, places to stay, or entertainment for people who are on a holiday. That's a Cambridge dictionary. It is more complex than that. And it's about a temporary stay, but to put a year on it doesn't really work. There's a deficiency in that as well. So, just my thought. We're gonna go to a break. When we come back, we will open the phone lines to hear your thoughts on all of this. Let's take that break right now, and see you on the other side.
ZIZ Radio. face. Once we're vaccinated, and everybody gonna be safe. Everybody gonna be safe. One kind, yeah. One people. We are roll up to roll out, yeah. Cause no man's alone, do what's right, alright. Cause I love you, brother, my sister. And we're in this together, my sister, my brother. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much. I think it's better for us, yeah, yeah. It's better for us, yeah. I don't wanna lose you. I love you too much, yeah, yeah. It's better for us. Tell your mommy to roll up to roll out.
Bless up, Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
I will take the vaccine because building defenses against COVID-19 is a team effort, and we are all a key part of that defense.
I definitely will be taking the vaccine when it's my turn.
I will be taking the vaccine as it is an important tool in the fight against the pandemic.
It is important for me to vaccinate to ensure that if I do become infected with the disease, it can prevent hospitalization. In addition, it also helps with herd immunity.
I will take the vaccine to protect myself, my loved ones, my clients, my co-workers, my community.
St. Kitts and Nevis, why do we need to vaccinate? Kenisha? So we can jab COVID-19 away.
Be on Saturdays. In Nevis, the workshops will be held at the Credit Union Conference Room on Chapel Street, starting 4:30 p.m. June 17th and every Thursday until August 19, 2021. Youth session will also be on Saturdays. For further information and reservation, please call 665-8601 or 466-5569. All COVID-19 protocol will be observed. These events are being sponsored by Nelson Spring, Purified Natural Spring Water, Wesk Agency Limited, the home of Lady B, Mark Twain, and the Sea Hustler, in St. Kitts VKN Kitchen. Remember, you can go from COVID stress to wellness.
Every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., ZIZ Radio goes into overdrive with the Magic Fingers Ronnie Rascal Mega Mix Show. You heard? Up your dial to 96.1 FM. It's the show that brings the vibes to your Saturday afternoon lime, bar hopping, party hangouts, or just driving around. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. You don't want to miss the Saturday Mega Mix Show. It's old school and new school remixes by yours truly, Magic Fingers, Ronnie Rascal, every Saturday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. ZIZ Radio. In the house.
All right, welcome back to Frank and Candid. I'm Tony Nass, and we are discussing tourism and the possibilities, especially as we look down the road and figure out what we do next and be prepared for the next disaster. Speaking of tourism, Barbados is saying they're ready to welcome back cruise ships to their shores, starting with all passengers on board being fully vaccinated against the COVID-19. This was disclosed by Tourism Minister just last weekend. She says, we are preparing to welcome back for the first time in over 15 months cruise ships to Barbados. It has been over a year of discussions, negotiations, and engagement at the level of the Center for Disease Control, the European Union, Healthy Sail Guidelines, and working through the America's Cruise Task Force, chaired by the President and CEO of Royal Caribbean, Michael Bailey, and Prime Minister Mia Mottley of Barbados. Cummings pointed out that all arriving passengers must have a valid negative PCR test 3 days prior to arrival. Went on, there is testing that is going to be taking place on board the ships that will make sure that people are continually kept safe, but there are multiple different scenarios, and we want to spend some time just talking you through what that looks like. So everybody is comfortable that we have been robust and rigorous in the assessment of what the parameters need to be, what the risk is going to be, what risks are going to be posed, and what measures need to be put in place, she stated. And also outlined plans to in place to receive cruise ships and passengers to the island. So there you have it. Barbados is getting themselves prepared to receive cruise ships for the first time in 15 months. All right, and there are a couple other places that are thinking along the same lines. CDC has given the green light for ships to sail out of the U.S. again, and they're all preparing themselves to take advantage of that in a safe way, I might add, and hopefully it can be accomplished where we don't create any more problems with this virus. So, all right, let's go to the phone lines and say good morning, caller. Welcome.
Greetings in the name of our great African ancestors, especially the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey and Queen Enzing. God bless you, my beloved African brother. How are you, the family?
We're all doing well. What about you?
Good, man, and good. Beloved, let me just say this, man, and I keep saying this for years now. Who is in charge of GIZ, minister, all of them. Man, listen, this thing again is buffering, you can't hear nothing. Internet problem, that's why you didn't hear me yesterday. Last night is the same thing. Beloved, so I'm calling at them, man. Come on, in national radio station on St. Kitts Nevis, it's a shame and a disgrace, man. Come on. Well, beloved, before I get to what I want to say, beloved, let me congratulate Brother Thomas Alva Pemberton. It was today's proclaimed Thomas Alva Pemberton Day in the borough of Brooklyn by the borough president, my beloved Brother Eric Adams, who is running for mayor, and I hope our people, man, give that brother the victory he's richly deserved. He's a former policeman, but he's not the usual. When he was there, man, the brother stood up for African people. They even try to criminalize him, all kind of things threatened. But that's for another time, beloved. Beloved, now come to tourism. Beloved, I personally don't have any problem with real tourism, beloved brother. Real tourism, not substitute tourism. But, listen, beloved, agriculture must be first and foremost. We must be able to feed ourselves, beloved. Because we know what we'll be eating, and it will save hundreds of millions of dollars from bad eating habits and all kind of these poisons that come out of North America and Europe, beloved. But they'll go a long way. We must diversify our economy. We got different things we can do. Technology, whether you hear me say that thing. So everybody know where I stand in that, beloved. But you see, beloved, here come tourism. We give these hoteliers, but too much concession. Millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. Give them land for 99 years. That's just absolute madness. That's an extension of colonialism right there. That came from the British. No one's supposed to. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis land come in this crown land nonsense. That is just total foolishness. Those lands belong to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And it's supposed to be, beloved. They no least supposed to be no more than 25 years. And after that, we negotiate 10 years moving forward. They need to go on these foolish laws that the British left. They need to be changed and be changed now. No, beloved, here again. This thing, when it comes to advertisement here in North America and Europe, these countries in the Caribbean, I'm talking about the Caribbean now, here they go. They look for all of these white companies and just pay them millions of dollars. They don't know what the culture of St. Kitts and Nevis is all about. Why don't get some people from up here, brother, who in the tourism thing, who have advertisement agency who look like me and you and deal with that? I'm not saying that you can't use a occasion or other thing, advertisement agency here and there. But the first thing supposed to go to our people. And, beloved, there's things that just think to Caucasian. It's not Caucasian alone, it's tourists. But they just say in New York, you could go Baptist Church, Abyssinian Baptist Church, Brother Jones Baptist Church in Brooklyn, House of the Lord Church in Brooklyn, but many churches. They're just talking about New York. Oh, down south? Millions down there. Why not reach out to them, to the churches and everything? I'm not a Christian, everybody know how I feel about that, but that's beside the point. Come on, man, those people in tourism, they need to wake up. Wake up, man. Let our people get the most of the money out of tourism, man. You go and you bring people who don't know anything about the culture in St. Kitts and Nevis, pay them hundreds of thousands of US dollars a year, and they just sit there, and then the people who, African people who they're surrounded by, is the one who do the work. Man, we got to stop this slavish mentality, beloved brother. No, man, come on, Lindsay, you got to wake up. The Prime Minister, you got to wake up. The entire cabinet must wake up, man. Do the right thing, man. You all went colleges and university. Ain't got no problem with that. But you must got some common sense and love for your people and for your country. And you must promote Pan-Africanism without fear. You see, a lot of them don't like to talk about Pan-Africanism because they're afraid of what Caucasian and other people going to accuse them of and say they're racist. You need to wake up. But I said a mouthful. Continue to listen. Pan-Africanism and perish. Well, not my dear beloved brother.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We criticize this station so much that when you come on, you don't want to talk. You don't want to come off. Eh? Why you have to say something about the station? You're always on the station. Other people want to talk, man. Pull up yourself, Mr. Thing. We can't talk so long other people need to talk. Okay? Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. Back to the phones. Good morning.
Good morning, Niles.
Hey, good morning.
How you calling? I like now watch TV, watch basketball review and so. But I had to call in because we don't get a switch on pan you. More than one thing I'm watching.
Okay.
More than one thing I'm listening. When I hear the fellow from St. Kitts called Nabo, I say, we must feed ourselves. We could feed ourselves any time. But I think it got in 60,000 people. The majority of young people, every Saturday we go market. I quite agree with everything is so far as a lot down in market. But even if you put a lot of young people may want to food there. When you come by Kentucky from 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock when they open, up there you see people, up there the line be. The market are dead after 8, 9. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Most young people don't want that kind of food there. Maybe me, you, and elderly people want the food and these less. And them. You understand? So I don't know where they say if we want tourism come to you, they ask them, and the Windsor people them are tourism. They not come and play, yes. But they don't come every day and every night. They live here. They go and they come. When they don't do the thing, they go, they come. They rotate. You understand? So I got people working there too. So I know what's going on there. You understand? And they contribute a lot to sink it. But the food, who we going to sell all them food? Everybody going to agriculture. Who we going to sell them food? Because America food them coming from some other big country. America and them plate, and they don't want our kind of food them. They don't want our food them because they will be forward. We got to put all kind of things on them, put plastic on them and do them. They never want nothing from all this. If they stop our sugar and take all the cotton them and no give us nothing up to now, what are we going to do? We could feed ourselves, but who want to eat the kind of food while we plant? You must just get food eat. It's from Kentucky and Domino and all them going to place.
Okay, I think he dropped out there. All right. Okay. So some quick news coming across the wire here, talking about women in the Mexico elections and how well they're doing there. Women are poised to win a record number of state governors' offices in the Mexican midterm elections, capturing territory long dominated by men and giving them a bigger political platform to reach the presidency one day. Preliminary tallies by electoral authorities on Monday showed female candidates securing 6 of the 15 regional bastions on offer, just 2 shy of the total number of women ever elected to lead regional governments in Mexico's history. All right, so seems that finally, well, elections are held in Mexico. Yes. And women seem to be doing well. So we'll see how, once the final tally is out, see how that goes. So, good news for women across the world and in politics. So, we'll see how that pans out eventually. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, the caller there just mentioned another of the offshore, the other university, Windsor. Yeah, another example of how we could capitalize on that piece of tourism. So it might be nice if we can attract more of that university where people come here to study and have an impact. Even around that university, as is the same around the one in West Farm, people are benefiting in that neighborhood. You're seeing construction do well because people are building apartments around those universities in order to capture some of that income from rental. And so the point I'm making is that tourism encompasses a lot more than just the ship and the weekly planes that land at Rabatel. So there are other ways we can go, and that's the point. And I do take the point about the agriculture, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But making the point that you don't necessarily have to beat down tourism because there's opportunities there as well. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Ness.
Good morning.
Yes, I think we absolutely need a new kind of tourism. Mm-hmm. And it isn't that we didn't know, even before COVID, we realized the competition for tourists was kind of fierce. But I think we concentrated too much on mass tourism, the cruise ships and the mass tourism that I think that was a mistake because nothing degrades the environment more faster than mass tourism. I think we should have concentrated, for instance, as you pointed out, on the educational tourism. Okay, apart from the fact that the students, a lot of the parents might bring their family down, to see what the place is like. There's that in North America, for instance, there are whole towns, okay, that thrive off of education.
Sure.
Right, they call them university towns, right? And just like the military bases, the military towns.
Exactly right. Yes.
Right, because these facilities act as a kind of magnet, okay, not just for tourists, but for the service providers in the community, okay? We also have a great climate to expand medical tourism as well. We should have been putting more effort into that and recuperative medicine. And I think because I think this type of tourism is more resilient in the event, for instance, of a storm.
Right.
Right. And then there's the niche markets. You see, like how Nevis has the inns, the little inns. I think we should have been following likewise with putting more effort into making Kittishan Hill work. I think that was a great concept. I think it's unfortunate that I think it got a bad name because it was associated with the previous government. But I think the concept itself was good. Okay, and move away from the seaside resorts. I think we have enough of those. All right, and when you have things like storms, I think they're more susceptible to damage and closure. Okay. I think also there's the yachting area. Again, possibly because it was associated with the previous government. I don't think enough effort has been put into expanding that sector. I mean, we have Christoph Harbour. That is an ideal place for to expand the yachting, right? And finally, there's the why couldn't we duplicate, let's say, the Southeast Peninsula, Frigate Bay area in terms of attracting people, not so much in terms of tourists, but in terms of having like winter homes that they can fly down and stay in for longer periods. Okay. Just make sure that they are not enclaves like where you just have a particular group of people who are living in that particular area. We don't want no apartheid here. But certainly the whole Frigate Bay concept could be put at one or two different areas on the island where it makes it easy for somebody from overseas. They don't require landholding holders, landholding, what do you call it, the foreign landholding license.
Yeah. Yes.
Those kinds of things, I think, is where we should be heading in, because that is a case where people have a vested interest in property down here, and that itself have lots of spins off in terms of maintenance and that sort of thing. Okay, so I think that's the way that we should be going.
Okay.
All right.
Got you. Yeah, and the more interesting points there. Speaking of university towns, I mean, there's an example in New York City. I did go to New York University, and that whole area is thriving off of the university down there in the village. That's a perfect example of that, where the benefits you can see from all the shops and stuff around that university. Same is true. I've been on military bases where the whole town benefits from that. And so all those are excellent point. So there you have it. I mean, we could focus more on that type of tourism, and it is not as hard on the environment as other types of tourism. And I dare say probably can benefit a lot more. The average person might be able to benefit a lot more. Because like I said, there's no guarantee that when a cruise ship comes here, a taximan will get a job. There's no guarantee that when the cruise ship comes here, the passengers will come off. There's no guarantee that even if they do, there's no guarantee that they will buy from your store. So, in the case of those other types of tourism, those people in those universities, they're here for their study and spend quite a while, and they will more likely bring some benefit to the neighboring community in the form of rent and everything else that they have to do in order to be here for their study. So things to think about. So just thought, just things to throw out there that we could consider. And as I say all of this, I must repeat myself in saying that it is not that I have an issue with the people who push agriculture. It's a good thing. We gotta eat, you know. We need food security, you know. I mean, so not bad. But I also pointed out some time ago that there could be a marriage between both. If the industry is to do well, it has to market itself. And when I say that, it can use the fact that we have tourism to benefit agriculture. Because once you grow the crops, I don't think if you're producing lots of food, there'll be more than we can eat. We want to be able to sell some of it. And so if we can sell some of it to support the same tourism industry, as in to the hotels for their food, and to the cruise ship and whoever else come in, and then there's, you're kind of making both work hand in hand. And so all things to think about. 465-2555, 718-577-2916. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning.
Greetings, Mr. Naya.
Greetings.
Tourism. Why do we need tourism? You know why? Mr. Naya.
Yes, sir.
Why do a country need tourism? Why do we need tourism? What is the purpose for we having tourism as our main industry?
Well, I can give you a whole bunch of reasons, but it's about
Main reason, just give me the main one.
it's about us, our sustainability. Our economy benefits from it.
Okay, in the sense that way we need some foreign.
You get foreign exchange.
Foreign exchange. To afford us to do trade, right? Now, and the other ways we can raise that without this heavy reliance on tourism. You know what I mean? Agriculture is one way. You know what I mean? And like you say, you got niche market within the tourism sector, reason why. You know what I mean? And one the way I feel like, one the reason people travel is for culture, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's like, to me, we have to develop our culture.
Absolutely.
And we have to promote our culture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because the people is the ultimate resource of any nation. you know. And if we keep hiding the people and what the people have, you know what I mean, with foreign things, because that is the whole thing, you know what I mean. The things then where the tourists them traveling from is where they come and meet. And you know what I mean, that ain't really gonna make it so exciting, ain't nothing new, ain't nothing different. Variety is the spice of life. You understand? You have to develop the culture. Check it out, don't just agriculture is a part of the culture too, because you need proper food. You know what I mean? So I think that's it, you know, don't just neglect ourselves, you know what I mean? We must develop who we are. You know what I mean? We just stand the whole thing. Give thanks.
Give thanks. All right. All welcome suggestions. I mean, that's the point I'm making. You don't have to give up one or the other. I mean, you could have parallel track. Let's go to the phones. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Yes, I want to know really what's going on with this hospital we got here. Is it going downward or is it coming up forward? Because if I go up there for asthmatic attack, I go to the emergency room, they're going to tell me go back out and wait for a while. It's asthmatic attack, I tell them I have, you know. So is the old Philippine doctor got to pass now to me in the patients and say, ask me what happened to me and then try to assist me.
Well, that's good.
And then the next thing again, I go there for my breakfast. Eh? You know, rain falling now. When me put now, get walking down 4th Street, no put drop in a hole, get it damaged. Eh? And instead they assist the person until the person go home last night and so think, what really going on here? They give me my spirit so down, it ain't funny. When you is my foot that's a damage, my ankle and so. And if we need to put something in this place when we get damage on the road, that the government must give us some assistance to them, because in America, you will get some assistance with that. I don't see them hold on, I don't just avoid them. I hear Mr. Niles that mean get caught in them. Because so much a hole out there on the sidewalk, and he go damage up people. Okay, I drop in the hole. You send me home last night when it's cold and things. Along with it, I got to call the ambulance now to bring me back into the hospital. We're walking up there. It's supposed to be people who got real love for people. You know, here sick, I fall down in the water. My ankle gone bad. Huh? I know the people they're supposed to keep me there, right? And, you know, send to me. And then if they want to tell me this morning, go and then come back maybe tomorrow or next day, let us say my foot really break, I get, you know, twisted or whatever, fractured or whatever, and then they will give me a cast. Mr. Niall, me not like how the hospital going to all. It's so embarrassing.
Okay.
You have to friend to God, not to go up there here.
Okay.
I tell you something good. Who the head up there?
Okay. We're happy. We're happy that you get through and you get over the asthma attack, and we're happy for all of that. Let's take this final call and before we go here. Good morning, your final caller. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Nance,
yes.
Just one more point I wanted to add.
Yes.
I don't think we paid enough attention in the past to regional tourism.
Okay.
Right? I think by now we should have had something in place to attract as many of our regional brothers and sisters as much as possible. I mean, I'm sure one of the first things that you enjoyed growing up was being able to travel to other islands close by to see what they were like. Yeah. I don't think we did enough of that, as well as we didn't do enough to have a local cruise industry. I mean, since the federal palm and the federal maple, I remember those were how I was introduced to the other islands when they went between them. I mean, that is definitely something to be said for developing an indigenous cruise industry. And, you know, if the foreign companies can do it and make a profit out of it, there's no reason why we can't do it as well. Okay? So I would like to see some kind of of emphasis in going in that direction.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, that's going to do it for today. Thank you all for your calls and suggestions, comments, opinions, all of that. We'll be back tomorrow if it is to be. Much more right here on Frank and Candid. I'm Tony Nias. Enjoy the rest of your day.